Hi, it's Stephanie here, and today I have a video to share as part of the Simon Says Stamp STAMPtember event. For my card today, I'll be using some of the new dies that were released from Simon Says Stamp, and I'll be doing a faux letterpress technique. For my technique, I'm going to be using watercolor paper versus letterpress paper, and I'm doing that for two reasons. One, I didn't have any letterpress paper to use, and two, I'm going to be doing some watercoloring on this when I'm done, so I wanted to make sure that the paper could handle the water that I'll be using. So what I've done here is I've just taken the larger pointed feather die as well as the thanks die, and I've already cut both of these out of Simon Says Stamp 120-pound cardstock. And when I run this through my die cut machine, rather than take that cardstock out, I'm actually going to leave it inside the die, which is going to give me that faux letterpress look because it's going to make it so that the whole die completely debosses rather than just the outside. So I've done embossing with my dies before, so I'm just going to use the exact same sandwich as I did then, which is just my Sizzix platform with all the tabs closed, a rubber mat, my paper and die, and then a cutting mat on top of that. And I'm just going to run that through my machine, and you can see here that the image completely debossed into the paper. Now, to show you the difference of what happens when there is no cardstock in, I'm just going to go ahead and run that through again. And what's going to happen is that it's going to emboss the image into the cardstock, and the only thing that's going to deboss is the outside edges of the die. So hopefully you can tell here that the middle part is kind of poofed up, whereas the other one that I had the cardstock piece in, the entire middle stays completely debossed, which is what gives it that faux letterpress look. So now that I have the letterpress part done, I need to go ahead and add some color to the inside area of that image. And I played around with a bunch of different mediums to get the color how I kind of wanted it, and trying to keep it contained within the debossed area. So I used some various markers and pencil crayons and different things, and I found that the Inktense pencils worked really well because they go on very vibrant with color, but they don't need a lot of water to do that. And that's kind of important with this because if you have too much water on your water brush, it's going to end up making the color spill over the edges of the debossed area. And with letterpress, you want to keep that color kind of contained in that area rather than go outside of it. So I'm just using my water brush here, and rather than use the water that you can put inside of the brush, I'm just dipping it into the water there on my mat. And as you can see there, I barely even let it touch the water because I don't want a ton of water on the tip of that brush. If you find that you seem to have like an excess amount of water when you're trying to do your coloring here, just go ahead and wipe that on a cloth and then just start over with adding a tiny bit of water on there. And now here I'm just going to speed through me adding the color to this feather here, and I'm just going ahead and adding the color to my brush directly from the pencil rather than putting the pencil color directly onto the paper. And as you can see here, I'm using very little water and I'm still getting this great vibrant blue color, which is why I really liked using the Inktense pencils for this this technique, just because it gives you such great color but such great control as far as where that color is going. So that was just a kind of sample piece there just to show you how I debossed it and then added the color. So I have this piece I've already prepared ahead of time, and I just went ahead and colored it exactly the same as I just showed, except I used a green color for the feathers, and I added 2 feathers versus 1. And I also did the thanks at the bottom. And as you can see there, for the thanks, I decided to go a little bit more messy with that one and give it more of a watercolory look. Even though the thanks is completely debossed, I wanted some of the color on the outside as well. So I just went through and completely colored it like I did the feathers, but once I was finished, I added some water to my water brush and kind of just traced around the letters to make that color bleed out a bit. And then once I had that done, I just went ahead and used my Tim Holtz edge distressor and distressed the edge a little bit. And now I'm just going ahead and adhering all of the pieces onto my pre-cut cardstock. And then once I have that complete, I decided that I needed to add something a little bit more to the card without taking too much away from that letterpress technique. It's kind of hard to see it in the video, but it looks exactly like letterpress, and it just gives it such a fun dimension to that card that you don't really want to take too much away from it once you have it finished there. So I took my Wink of Stella marker, which I seem to be using quite a lot lately, and it's just the clear one, and I just went ahead and kind of quickly brushed over the feathers and added sparkle to both of those, and then I quickly went over the thanks and added some sparkle to that as well. And then once I had that done, I just went ahead and took some twine, and I decided to stay in the green color with the feathers, but just go a little bit darker. And I'm just going to add that to the center of the two, where the two feathers meet there, with some glossy accents. And then I didn't do it on the film, but I ended up taking the two Inktense pencil crayon colors that I used and kind of flicked them on with a paintbrush and some water to have like some watery paint splotches all around the background behind the feathers. And that completes the card today. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you will try out this faux letterpress technique, and make sure to check out the Simon Says Stamp blog for the entire month for lots of guest artists, inspiration, and fun.